Hi, hello there. I think I need a new mouse. This was like, you know, supposed to be a laptop travel mouse, but then I got a Bluetooth mouse for my laptop, and somehow this became my desktop mouse. It's kind of tiny. I kind of like that. I don't have giant hands. It's good. It's not a bad size, but it's getting like weird warts on the side. You can see them. Weird. It's like, I don't comfort bubbles. They seem to be full of fluid, which is maybe gross. I tried to drain them by flicking them with an X-Acto knife. Hey, that's too much information. Hi, it's me. It's me, Scott. We're gonna continue working on that thing we're working on called Volume 1. That one. We're gonna work on that thing. I feel like we've made okay progress. Is it a Wednesday? It's a Wednesday. I think we've made okay progress the last couple of days, right? We've done 3 out of 7 as far as just like revisiting, getting them working, fixing formatting issues, and swapping over to vector graphics. Yes, right desktop. Okay, yeah. So it's gone okay. I think we accidentally skipped one though yesterday called Fade. So we've been going through, stripping out unnecessary nonsense to some degree, fixing things up. All these are turned off. So yeah, there's some bigger issues than what I had remembered, but that's fine. We'll figure it all out, all of it. We'll figure out all of it. So we're doing the scale with screen size thing now, with everything at 2K, true 2K, not like the fake nonsense people call 2K. Some people call 2560 2K. It's clearly 2.5K. Nonsense. 1920 is closer to 2K. Okay, so actually, size-wise, that looks about right. The main design-wise on this one, the thing I don't like, I don't like is the just so bold, whereas the others are not. The others are much more like line art oriented. None of the others quite have this boldness, so that might be a thing we want to explore redesigning. Although, as I say that, we might want like some kind of tileable texture or something in there. Don't know if we can do that with our SVG images. That's an interesting question, actually. Those SVG images tile. Could you tile them if you wanted? Just mean Unity's duplicating the geo, I guess. Okay, so does this work? So the little draggy tabs disappeared. That's weird. Oh, we need those. Okay, so this changes tempo, basically. We had some real iconography problems. So randomize works and randomize animates, which is nice. This, I don't know what this button does. Nothing. I can't remember. I mean, it almost looks like it should switch the top and bottom. That looks like a pause and play. So weirdly, this one has pause and play. The others so far do not. The others so far just have like stop and clear, which you could still see clear as a reset. So something I was trying to imagine last night was a way that we could say like, okay, all of these will have some kind of consistent UI language. And then I was even thinking like, oh, maybe the high level UI, like stop, clear, stuff like that, is actually outside of the square. So like the square is always maintained as, looking nice just like a uniform square. But I think I like the weird thing with roll, where you can drag it and it changes where the interface is. So I don't know, maybe everything does get a bar of some kind and we just go back and add a bar to drip, and then everybody gets a bar, and then the bar does have to fit in. Okay, so this thing seems like it works, sort of. I don't understand why. Feels like we have some layout issues. So it looks like we have a horizontal layout, and then you would maybe imagine a vertical layout in here. Like, why would it go away when I stop? I don't really see. Okay, so the horizontal layout group should be what is responsible. Like, where did you go? That is there. That exists. So top. So the height of these changes. Ratio fitter. Okay, so we have a aspect ratio fitter. I think this is what. Weird. So some of these, it's unfortunate that we're now in what, 2020.3. Like, there's just buggy stuff with some of these. Maybe poking at it will help, but there's always been problems with Unity layout. As long as there's been Unity UI, like the layout stuff is always a little wonky. So the slider's weird because. Okay, so I did this in a slightly insane way, I guess. I don't know why. So a few things I don't understand. One, how this could ever end up underneath. Like, that doesn't make a ton of sense. Also, why would I have done it? Maybe I deliberately made it a 75% range so that you can only, the ratio is always, that's just as much as you could ever do. That would sort of make sense. So somehow the slider itself gets busted, but it kind of, but if I poke this, yeah, it comes back. So if I poke you, you'll come back. Hidden parent, enveloped parent. Okay, well, that's just not cool. Like, why would that be a problem? I sort of think it's related to maybe the height of this, because this is controlled by this. Some of this stuff is not ideal. I mean, this generally seems like it's doing the job for those guys now, although why they vanish in this case is a real mystery. Because if I look at this, I clearly have, you know, we got content here. We have a content area that seems not unreasonable. And it is arranged by this horizontal layout guy, and that horizontal layout guy seems like it is doing its job. We don't technically need that, you know, we could do this without the horizontal layout group, of course, because that never changes. So because these are where they belong, offset by whatever, stretches to whatever the container is, which is whatever this is, which is 2048, and then we knock off 168. And I'm assume I did that math that way for a reason. That's too bad, because this was certainly functional. And now there's just some dumb Unity layout bug, feels like. Because again, that seems like that horizontal layout is properly laying out the fader, but somehow having the aspect ratio fitter inside of this could just be kind of an order of operations thing. Like the order that Unity is applying these things. Kind of am curious if we just disable the layout group. Yeah. So I think it may be a thing where we ran into that somewhere else too, actually. I noticed that we had the layout group turned off on roll, and it could be that this was the reason. Okay, so we can now drag this. I think no matter where you put it, yeah, I think that's why I did the can you do like tiling and slicing and all that stuff with I wonder, with vector? It'd be really interesting if you could. But like this, surely not slicing. I don't know how you could possibly. Okay, so it seems like it's just some battle of from battle. So this is supposed to call a method called board switch step. Oh, I know what that does. It's if these have different steps, it switches the two. So it doesn't like invert the that's not very clear, is it? This guy seems functional. Seems pretty good. I'm annoyed by that layout thing, but yeah. There's just been quirks with that forever. Which is unfortunate. Okay, so asset-wise on this baby, we won't look at code yet. Not just yet. So really, it looks like maybe I did intend a border, because I have a border defined here. So it looks like my intention maybe was to have outlined stuff. So for example, maybe the thing I was trying to do was not actually a thing. I thought it was, though. I thought you could do the, could be that. No? But clearly I have a border defined here. don't fill center. Sliced. Huh. Oh, no, that's right. Okay, so you can see that that was... The attempt there was to make an outline. And I could change that border size to get a pixel outline. We may do something like that, but we won't do it this way. Will we? Yeah, so this gets to be a little tricky, I guess. Because this is like non-uniform scaling. The way these essentially... Because it's like, you know, the scale, the aspect ratio changes constantly. And you can do that with these sliced tiles. I don't know that you could do that with I'm going to say almost certainly not. This is my prediction. Because I don't even know how could you? I mean, you could imagine ways to do it. That would be kind of weird, where you could pick a border, like some set of vertices that was this corner or that corner or whatever. So that is a little bit of a bummer. That may be our first big that may be the first big problem we've seen so far with this SVG approach. And I think that doesn't, you know, we still want to do this and we still want to swap out everywhere that makes sense to swap out, but yeah, I don't have a super obvious idea of how to handle that. So like, unless it was just some, these don't have any import. Yeah. So that is a little bit unfortunate. It actually doesn't affect us right now because we don't need this thing right now. Like this is not even actually being used right this moment. But if we did want to do something where these were kind of outlined, it would be fine for this little track head because it never changes sizes. For these bigger guys, it would be an issue. The really naive thing we could do is just, you know, we know the maximum height, so we just make a thing that's that size and it just always falls off. We wouldn't be able to do that if we wanted to outline. I mean, we would. We could figure it all out. It's just would be a little annoying. Just be a little bit annoying. Another way is that we could just have 4 images and they just got scaled. You know, really 2, like a horizontal version and a vertical line. And those just got stretched. That's not a terrible idea. Not a good idea, but it's not a terrible idea. I'm opening Illustrator on this other monitor. Okay. So, okay. So like line was the last thing we worked on, right? And it looks great. So we want a new thing. We want it from our dumb template. And we just need to figure out what we actually need here. So it looks like we mostly need icons and then 1 button. And the button is once again 128. And the icons are also all... Wait, no, the button is, it is 128. The button's 128, the icons are all 128. So this is going to be very similar to the last one. Need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So basically 8 icons and then a leftover. Yeah, all 128. So that's fine. So let's do you 128, 128. And we'll worry about your naming in a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And let's arrange you. Great. So, cool extras. Cool. Nope. What did we say this is? Fade. We have dumb problems again for no reason. Yes, delete everywhere. Okay, those are our fade icons. Here's our fade button. Again, that's probably going to be a shared thing at one point. It doesn't really matter, but if we do decide to do like UI conforming, it could be nice. Okay, so what are we doing? These are the buttons we care about. Is that actually the order they're in here? No, because this would be back, random, play, pause. So let's do this and then name them after the fact, because I want to. Yeah, I'm really undecided about how to handle some of our UI UX challenges. I didn't have that one first. Who knows? Bar though, the button bar doesn't hold up everywhere because on at least one of them the buttons are incorporated into the full layout. I don't know, it's a little tricky, a little bit tricky. There's almost a case to be made for just keeping the UIs like designed per like the UI, because the buttons change per, so if like the buttons and layout changed per chapter, track, whatever we're calling it. Okay, this is fade back, fade random, fade play, fade pause. Fade 4. Really like fade step 4, right? Fade step 2. Fade is the name of the track, by the way. That's why these all are prefixed with fade. Fade step 1. Fade switch. We already named fade button. Okay, those seem okay. And we need to export for screens. And where do you live? You're gonna be SVGs. What? Oh, does that not actually copy the full? That's funny. So copy path does not copy the full path. Fine. Okie dokie. So in this case, now we have all these friends. And they're all UI SVG images at 2K with a preserved viewport. Terrific. So we just gotta swap them out. We're not even using back, apparently. But we've been making it for the others, so whatever. So button first, perhaps. These are all of our buttons, and they are all this color, 255 alpha. It's weird because in most places I think we're using transparency, but whatever. Lots of things that we need to conform. So we want to remove you, add you, change you, and you're all fade boutons, and you're all... Oh wait, you're all unlit vector UI. Have I been using the wrong material? I don't know. Possible. Maybe probable. So we did this very similar to the last way we did it. These become fade step 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1, 2, 4, 2, 3. Fade step 1, 2, 4. This starts to want an SVG image instead of an image. Then this guy gets, which looks like just white. Okay. It's an SVG image set to fade 1, fade step 1 with vector UI. Number 1. Let's do the bottom button since it's basically identical. So you will also get line, you can go away. Fade step 1, 2, 4. You should be an SVG image. Starting with 1, with the material. What is this? And then you get a reference. This, I did that up here, didn't I? Oh, forgot. Is top. I don't know. I don't like that. I think I would do that in a different way now, probably. Okay. So that seemingly is those two buttons. Switch and randomize should be easy peasy because they're just getting swapped. This guy's also going to get swapped. So let's just remove all these at once. Add an SVG image. Switch gets switch. Random gets random. Play pause, I think, starts with play. All three of these fellows would like to be vector UI images, vector UI, and play pause must have some kind of toggle. Yeah, so there's the... No? Oh yeah, you need to be an SVG image. Okay. So you will reference this fellow, and you will be play sprite and pause sprite. Feels like we forgot something. So now we can use all these. We didn't use the back button, but that was kind of by design. We can delete these. And we still have something, so maybe it worked. So... So this guy seems functional-ish. Let's do a code review, see how bad it is. Okay, so some stuff is dead simple, right? Like this toggle button. All it does is there's two, and then when you click, you call it with the on-clicked. We could have made this just a click handler and have it do that and then not have to I mean, this is really kind of silly, actually, because it doesn't have any awareness of the state. Like, which I guess is fine, but like, you know, you could imagine some scenario where that is not right, where it's not correct, where it, you know, where it really should probably look at something going on the board, but we'll leave it because it seems harmless enough at the moment. That's dead simple. really know what all these pieces are. So this is the actual, the rail. Or like the little individual fade segments, I guess I would maybe call them now. So they're segments of a fader. And then, so the fader doesn't know about the rails, but the rails know about the fader. Seems a little silly. Yeah. Like as far as passing state around and passing data around, I think maybe I just wasn't very good at that then. Anyway, so we can enter or we can play. So this is just sort of like clicking those and playing them. And we have the idea of a highlight color when we do our little pulse. So it makes sense. It's not, doesn't feel super tidy. I got iTween to do a thing. Again, not really my jam anymore, but whatever. Okay, so that seems okay. And then those talk to faders. So this is so you can randomize this set value, I think. So that like sets the whole dude. It's also where the audio source is. Which actually doesn't make much sense to me. Wait. Can I not be playing both simultaneously? I can't. Oh, is the audio source just play one-shotting? Probably. Yes, it is a play one-shot. Okay. So there's one audio source, but that's a little bit of a lie. Or at least conceptually kind of a lie. Okay, so this thing just handles that animation. It handles the slider changing this guy. Changes those aspect ratios when there's a value change. Okay, yeah, I get it. That's just not. Could be better. Yeah, no? Could be better. Okay, then there's a, okay, this is just the thing, this is just the cycle step button. So all it does, very much like on the last one, it just manages the button state. At least in this case, it like has a little more awareness. I really don't like this, the like notion of am I a top or am I like, is this a top rail or a bottom rail? Like if I was doing this now, I'd probably have the rails, they would just have slots on the fader that said top or bottom. Because they get a reference to the fader and then they talk to the fader, rather than the fader having a reference to them. And then these would just fire events when they got clicked. So like, eh. But again, it's probably okay for now. And then, okay, then we have the whole board. What are you doing? Why do you care about all the audio clips? Why is that a thing that you care about? Oh, those are the... yeah, right. Those are the individual clips. Okay, it's probably... I don't like that, really. Like, I also like the idea of there being instruments that we could swap out for different ones, but I don't know. That would be part of, like, a musical pass in this. We're not even thinking about that right now. Okay, so this goes through all the faders. I don't know. We must have said there's like 7. There's 7 tones or 8 tones. Like 0 through 7, basically. Is this actually true? I guess so. You could still get the 1, but it seems like you'd have a lower. You'd only get 1 when you're at the very, very top. Feels like my math may be off there. We have some events here. I don't really know what the pointer down, pointer up does. So we use it, like if the board pointer down. See, like stuff like that. Yeah, my I'd maybe make those properties now instead of public fields. Because I just don't know who's paying attention to this. So what do you... So I manually called the boards on pointer down if there's pointer down on my rail. So on pointer inner, this just means like if I'm pressed down. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, so you need to know, because you need to know. Although then it makes, I kind of think that, why would the board be handling that? I guess it's because of the tiny spaces in between. So there's a chance that you might not be touching. Like, I was able to click in between this. Oh yeah, like I click in between there, it's not going to work. So then why does, I get it. You need some kind of global state to say like, is the pointer down or not? But I don't actually understand why the... I see. It's just because these are getting called. So this is confusing. This is not the on pointer up. This is not in the like whatever I pointer down interface, whatever it's called. This is just getting bubbled up from lower, which feels silly. Like, why do this? It's a public variable anyway. Just call it. Just set it from wherever you are instead of this. Okay. Well. I think I just have different opinions about how to do some of that stuff now. So we got our ticks, the randomize. This is a little bit silly. Actually very silly. Why would I do it like this? Oh, is this a shuffle? Is that the idea? Is that I don't ever repeat anything? So So when I do a randomize, is there never any repeating? So I always use every value. Okay, maybe that's not. Maybe it's not a horrible idea. There's no real reason to do that. Like, you know, there's no real reason we couldn't. But that would never happen. So I deliberately did it so you always have to move. So, okay. So this is actually a shuffle. And then we just go through and set them. I probably just looked up shuffle algorithm. And this just swaps those two. So that's just a, that's all that is just a swap. Where we set the top. Toggle tick, which really is so does this guy not use the metronome? Is that why this was so weird? That wasn't true on the last ones we looked at, right? All the last ones we looked at did use the metronome? Why would I not use the metronome here? I mean, this is basically... Huh. Ah, wait a minute. So, like... I wish I had actual names that made sense. Like there was a controller class or everything. Yeah, this is just not quite my current style. So for drop, for example, so I guess it would be the dropper that's paying attention to the metronome. On beat. So we subscribe to the metronome. So drop uses it. Did roll. Roll uses it. Drop and roll. Stop, drop, and roll. Line. Oh, maybe it's individual strokes. Actually, no. Yeah. Weird. Why? You know what I think? No. I was about to say maybe I actually wrote this one first, but I don't think I did. I don't know. But I don't want to do that now. I think I'll do that as part of the music pass. Possibly. Or we just don't care. I mean, without, you know, music transporty kind of controls, why doesn't it really matter? Kind of want to refactor all of this, but let's get through the task at hand. Oh yeah, why not use the metronome? Why not? Who can say? Oh, life is yours. Can't watch. Exam prep. Okay, so. Should we make a nice, let's make a nice good luck message for life is yours. Let's put some giant text on the screen for no reason. Good luck, The life is yours. Definitely needs to be some horrible shade of purple. Definitely needs to be bigger. Great. Too big. Will this snap to the center? That's not the center. Why would it snap there? Do a little dance. Text transforms. Good typefaces. Sell on this machine. We got some Proxima Nova Black. The line height is obscene, but I don't know that we actually get any control over that. That's a little lame if you can't. You really can't change the line height? Boo. Boo. What? Oh no, type crime. Stretched it. Okay, wait, do whatever. Transform. Great. We've done it. Very good. What a charming sentiment. Okay. Probably don't really need that. Disappointed by the line height thing. So, yeah, who knows what we're doing or why. So let's check source tree. One of these days I'm probably going to type my SSH key visibly on stream, probably. Okie dokie. Sprites first. Sprites. What do we change here? I forget it. Did we do the thing? You know, the thing. Yes. Don't trust you, Unity. Save and save project every time before committing. Okay, that one went relatively quickly, right? It's getting darker in here. Well, let's push this button. And then push this button. And lighten up. Okay, so are we back to taking forever to push for no discernible reason? I realized more stuff we broke when we pushed the site last week. We broke cluster. I fixed it today. We break mission control. We checked it, right? Mission control? Yes. So we should check later in the week or next week or whatever, or make sure our analytics are working. Okie dokie. Weird. Don't hide my packages. So fade seems good. So next on the list is another thing. We really should start keeping it to do, huh? Like, so the thing we're doing now is just okay. So this looks beautiful. We just have all of these on. Wonder why that one's a little baby. That's sort of weird. So if we go back to, well, because they're getting just dropped into a bigger canvas, and that is not good. I think we feel pretty certain we don't want to do that thing. Just cram things into a bigger canvas. But let's ignore it for the moment. We could do it with separate scenes. I almost feel like I started that way and then switched. I don't know. So we've done drop, roll, fade, line. We still have to do gate, ring, and fall. Okay. Gate is kind of a weird one. Actually, ring is like this too. So gate... Is that true? Gate has no... Gate has no buttons? So for this, what we've done on other ones like this is just put things in the corner. So that's probably what we would do here if we decided we needed buttons. But I don't remember Gate having no buttons. So this one seems functional, which is good. We don't have buttons, currently at least. You could certainly imagine adding buttons to it. Certainly. Just need to like conform colors. So yeah, the main container scene is like a bit of a problem right now. So we have junctions. Okay. So we have playheads. What are all of these? What is the difference between a dot? Okay. I think a source is these big ones on the outside. I think a junction is one of these little guys that just decides where to go. And a node is one of these guys that also plays a sound. So like source, junctions, nodes. Playhead is just the little moving guys. So I don't know what dot is just these other little dudes. So fill, I don't know. So T image, we actually use we got a whole lot of dots. It's a whole lot of dots. Junctions. So I don't actually see that we use the fill. But it's in, well, we can't just delete it because it's inside there, but I don't think we need it. So that would mean we really need 5. Right? We don't do anything here. When we pulse these, we don't fill them in. And actually, the dot and playhead are the same. There's no real reason to have those be separate. So we really only need 4 images, which would be source, node, junction, and dot, and then playhead and dot. At least at the moment are identical. We could add another one, you know. We could make that not true someday, but that's what's true right now. Okay, so I think that's annoying though. Okay, they're all 64. Which seems smaller than they should be. Right? Doesn't seem too small. Be doing something like showing these double their size or something. It doesn't seem really little with all of our other stuff at 128. Did we not set the canvas size properly? Okay, this is supposed to be scale of screen 2048. Okay, those look little, but I think it's okay. I think it's okay for now, at least. We'll see. Like once we actually are testing this on device, like we may change all this stuff. That's part of why we're doing this, is to make life a little easier when that time comes. But we really only need four dudes, I think, for whatever that one's called gate. Wrong. I have to use my template. But the template has the wrong size, whatever. 64, 64. And we only need 4 of these. And then meanwhile, we want to open up I. Design, gate. Oh, did we delete all the fade stuff we didn't need? We didn't even save fade. Better do that. These are all from Fade, right? Right. Right. So then these guys can be deleted. And gate. So here's our icons. We really only need these four. Just these four. And we'll just do them by size to start with. And they're not compound, you know, there's nothing fancy about them. We'll just stick them right in, align them. It's really the same size? Pretty sure they are. Okay, so this is a gate source. This is a gate node. This is a gate junction. And this is a gate dot. Didn't take. Okay, file, export for screens. Will now be 8. You're smart enough to create the folder? Nope, you're not smart. Smart enough now? Okay, got our SVGs. Terrific. They are all... I'm being worried that I'm missing this. Or actually the material, that's what I'm worried about missing. We do want the viewport. Okay. So, this is a lot of stuff, but I think it'll be okay, because I think we really just need to go like one type at a time. And then somebody's going to care about it, right? Like somebody's going to care about... So sources do have, they do know about the fill. They don't do anything with it? Nobody cares about you. The thing we do have to worry about though is the pulsing color. I don't know whose job that is. Not you. You seem to care. You seem to care. You don't. You don't. I guess because sources are just kind of always on. So I mean, even if we do this and something goes and hits another source, it never lights up. It did light up. How did it do that? color highlight. So we have a thing. So sources are nodes, apparently. So everything's a node. Don't know why some of those had two node instances. Like all of these seems like a mistake. So it looks like node is just going to grab an image. That probably still is fine. Seems like that's all that it's responsible for. So somebody else is handling the audio, which sounds right to me. So then the issue is, so all you sources need to lose your image. So these just need to be 128 on the alpha. You'll get an SVG, and you'll be 128 on the alpha, and you will be a gate source. And you will be that material. Okay. That's all our sources. Now we want junctions are the things that, so we want not dots. We want nodes now. Yeah, so those are the nodes. Also has a node script, which is fine. These are only 64. And these all want to be vector UI. And these are all nodes. Yeah, script should be called cell. If I'm going to use node to mean like a specific thing, I don't know. Okay, that's all of those. Now we have junctions, which probably kind of work the same way. I mean, in terms of having a color, true color, false color junction. So these just want a vector graphics friend. And they just get an image set. This is not really how I would do this stuff. I would probably have like a set color or something. It's a little silly that this is basically doing the exact same thing as the last script that we looked at, but it just toggles between two colors instead of flashing a color. I guess this does both. Although this says that, okay, this just flashes up the alpha. I see. So it like animates up the alpha. I don't know. I don't want to go down the route of tearing those things up just yet. So these are going to lose. These need to all default to false, which is 50% of this color. Wouldn't it be bad if I went through all this trouble and then decided this isn't how I wanted to do it? That'd be sad, right? So, in fact, like, you could just have we already have the other thing for highlighting, so if we really want to be super component based, we could just throw that component and then those would know how to toggle. Like, Why does a junction have to be separate for knowing how to trigger? Like, seems like you should just be able to trigger a thing, whatever it is, or maybe have an interface, but they just don't do anything different. Because the toggling is something else that's happening, is when you change the state. I guess you need them to be related because you need to know what color you're pulsing. I guess. I don't know. Easy to be critical from a very superficial position where I haven't worked on this code for 4 years, so could give myself the benefit of the doubt and say probably did things for a certain reason. Okay, and then we got all our dots, and dots just aren't anything. They're just very dim. And you get one of these, and you get one of these, and that should just leave the playhead, which I would imagine is a prefab. So source can't really be a prefab because we don't have nested prefabs. So I think it's a lie. I think that is a lie. Did we have anything like that in Fade? Let me look at our prefabs. No. Playhead is instantiated, and playhead is just a dot. Okay, and we're totally applied. Our save project. I might have broken the playhead, but let's see. Okie dokie. That seems mostly functional. This naming's all horrible, whatever. Whatever, that's not what we're doing right now. So let's look at these scripts and see if we can figure out what's going on. So like individual nodes, we got it. They just pulse. Junctions have the exact same code duplicated, and they pulse. Not a big fan of that. But they also can have their color toggled. Playhead. Interesting. So is it the individual playheads? Why would I say this is a... Why? Okay. I guess. So as these little friends move around, is it their job to figure out what's going on? So they're the ones that decide to move around. This looks a little gross. I guess we only have direction X or Y. I don't fully understand this. Like, I don't know. Yeah, we'd have to dive into it to like really get it, I think. Anyway, it's the beat. The beat itself is responsible for navigating around, which I don't know if I love that. I would probably do it now where I had like a controller thing that knew about all the beats and was managing all of them. Sources probably just know how to emit beats, I would guess, at a certain time. Yeah, because it's going to hold it until you... That's funny, though. Who's the actual button that puts you... I saw... It seemed like we had some invisible buttons, and maybe that's how we were doing this. And why do some nodes have buttons? Why are those buttons? And why do they have multiple node scripts? It looks like there's lots of mistakes. These buttons aren't doing anything. I don't think. Uh-oh. Yeah, all these things that have double nodes seems busted. So we fixed all the sources that have double nodes. And we know that junctions are just called junctions. So I don't think we had any doubles there. No. I mean, these were just prefabs, which they should be. Nested prefabs didn't exist. It's not my fault. Okay. But nodes... So do this manually, I guess. Okay. So, yeah, I just don't... Oh yeah, that was trying to figure out. Button. Do we just have invisible buttons, and the buttons trigger the source? And do we just... Funny. Okay. So after they just emit one, and then they're no longer spawning, right? Because this one doesn't. This one just you click it once and it's going to spawn, and then it's going to be done. This doesn't have like auto spawn the way that the first one had auto grow. So that I think that all kind of makes sense. Don't really love the idea that the individual playheads. Like, we've got this manager class. Okay, yeah, what is the manager doing, by the way? So it's doing stuff like figuring out, based on grid cells, what is the... Yeah. So we have two versions of this. And that have a rect to grid? Guess not. So based on grid coordinates, we can get, like, you know, spatial coordinates. Get the audio source. Guess it doesn't matter because they're all play one shots. Okay. So we have a singleton grid manager. What? No, there's a reason I did that. So that some I can't remember exactly why, but I wanted them to be like firing on different beats, not necessarily just all firing at the same time. I can't remember how I decided that. So this is me looping through every child, trying to find sources instead of doing get component in children and just setting it only on the sources. So whatever, maybe I didn't know how to do that. So the playhead, does the playhead trigger itself? Does it like call the grid manager trigger? It does. This is just not, I don't think I would do this way. I probably wouldn't even need a singleton because everything would just be known. You know, the thing at the top is in charge of this whole hierarchy. It's in a hierarchy. It could get direct references to everything. It could know about playheads that were instantiated. It could subscribe to events on the sources so that when a new thing was created on the source, a new playhead was created on the source, it would know about it. Like, I think I would just do the overall architecture of this a little different, because this just ends up with stuff like this. It's like, who's calling this? I don't know. Somebody calls this from somewhere. That's one of the dangers of like a singleton manager class, which can be okay for utility things, I think. But for something like this, it's like, who is calling this and when are they calling it? And I just don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I do now because I looked, and the playhead calls and feeds itself to the singleton. So I think I have these problems where like, and it's funny because there's like the inversion of control argument and like who's in charge of what, and should like little autonomous things be totally in charge of themselves and then talk to somebody else. I don't think that as much as I used to. I think more now I like a sort of centralized place that it's like, okay, you know, we'd have like one update loop and it'd be like, yep, in the update loop, we're gonna do whatever. Like, not everything, like, you know, flashing a color, for example, like that's fine. Okay, put a component on everything that can do the highlights. That's okay. I don't need one master update loop that's going to do every single thing necessarily. If it truly is something like that, where it's like, okay, it's your job to do this, you know, nobody cares about you. And just the naming is a little weird, so whatever. I think it's functional and it's okay. I don't want to get into refactors of stuff that work at the moment. But we may make like a high level pass at the end. And, you know, I think we want to kind of change the way some of these things work at a pretty high level. So maybe when and if we do that, we will reconsider their structure. Like, you know, for example, that one that didn't use the metronome, like we probably want to use metronome everywhere. I like this as an interface. The thing I don't like about it is it, excuse me, it's just a bit inconsistent relative to the others, which is not horrible, but is a little weird. Like, it might make more sense to incorporate the buttons in here, unless we say, again, maybe we say like buttons are not part. I don't know. I would be tempted to say buttons are not part of the track UI and they exist outside. And you can still have different controls for them, but what's its face? The one that, oh, I just realized something, actually. Maybe that's a good idea. I wonder if you have like if you have nested canvases with totally different scale types, does that do something insane? I don't know. We may want to find that out. Anyway, I like the controls being part of the interface for roll. I think it's cool, and I think it's part of the appeal of roll. I think roll is better because of that. Like, I think that's kind of what makes this a cool interface. The ability to do that and then have like the toolbar come up. You could imagine it only being that part, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's still fine. I never did love... Okay, so let's take a quick survey of the ones we've done so far. Drop, they're just crammed in the corner. It's kind of irrelevant on that one. They could be there or not. They don't really cause a problem. Fade, they're just kind of stuck on the side. So again, not that big of a deal to have them there, but also not that big of a deal not to have them there. Like, you could imagine that living outside of the square, and it would not be a huge deal. Fall we didn't do yet. Gate just doesn't have them. Line would be fine without them, and it would look kind of like gate. Like, they're just crammed in the corner, and if you didn't have that, then you could draw in those places. So this like split all over the place UI, I don't think it was like vaguely interesting, but I don't think it's that effective. We didn't do fall yet, but I think fall... Oh, it's not even functional currently, but I think it's kind of the same boat as roll, where it wouldn't actually matter. In fact, I think most of fall actually changes by clicking the interface. There may not even be buttons in the same way. There are a few buttons, but I don't think they're essential, because fall is really, you're like clicking elements in the scene to do things, which I think is better. And then so that was fall. We just did gate, line, ring. I think them also has them crammed in the corners. Which is, it's kind of nice for this radial layout, but it's also not important. So I guess I'm leaning towards pulling the UI elements out. I mean, the buttons out, and then taking a hard look and saying like, hey, could we find a way to like make some of these changes part of the interface and not even need buttons, the way that gate doesn't need buttons? Because I think that's actually something that's good about gate, is that there are no buttons in the interface. I think that's kind of cool, actually. Okay, so next on our list, drop, roll, fade, line, gate. So we really only have ring and fall left. So let's take a look at ring. So first thing we want to do, really I think this is the one that had me thinking hardest about wanting vector graphics. So this canvas. So anyway, what I was thinking about the canvas a second ago is like, oh, should the canvas actually be the prefab root? And the whole canvas just gets pulled in to that top level guy? I don't know, because I don't know what happens if you embed canvas scalars, if it just like overrides. Don't know the answer. Okay, so that looks about right size-wise. I have no idea what this ridiculous button is. I think it's some kind of like planetary alignment button. So let's see if this even works. Was one of those off and then turned on? Yeah, did you see the outer one like totally fade off? Seems like a bug. Anyway, so the idea of this one is that you turn on these satellites, and then the satellites at a set interval will spit their little... supposed to have good velocity, and you like let them go and throw them. Feels kind of terrible here. Maybe that's just because it's a mouse. maybe I did a bad job. Or maybe they have a... Something's not feeling great about them. Okay, we got one. So that's the basics. This just turns them all off. So that's essentially like a stop and play button. So I don't know, we have a power button here instead of stop and play. This randomizes position. But keeps the same velocity. This randomizes velocity. And this synchronizes, I guess. I don't know according to what, though. I don't know who becomes the... I think it like averages all the velocities. So these are pretty, like, weird. These are weird buttons. Very non-standard. Like, coming up with iconography for those, I don't know. So maybe having some kind of explanation system for what the buttons do. But not as part of this UI, as, like, the external UI, I think. So, something important to consider, though, our scaling doesn't look good here, does it? So, this just feels way small, and you can imagine if we didn't have these buttons on the outside, this would just be like a tiny goofball interface in the middle. So it almost looks like... I don't know. Almost looks like it wants to be this size, like 1.5 times. I hesitate to do that. Well, one, we know we want this consistent, so this is going to be canonically right. As far as like, but I just don't exactly know as far as how this stuff works. It may not actually matter. You know, these just have a satellite arm, it looks like, and then they have a radius. So you kind of do whatever you want, I guess. And because the rings, I don't think actually mean anything. I think they are just... It's funny that one... Oh. Well, I was trying to be real clever. Well, it's not that clever. But good try, me. So it's just one corner that's then repeated 4 times to make the ring. I guess because I didn't want to... Then I could... The sprites would be smaller. But they're not really that much smaller. I guess they probably got packed previously if I was... Yeah. Packing them. But still pretty silly. This poor little orbit. Okay. Do I want to do that again? I mean, it lets me use, you know, I can give you 1/4 the size of what I was previously, I guess. But I actually want to multiply my radius by 1.5. So whatever my radii is in these cases, which I won't... Will not be super easy to tell because of this overly clever way I've done things. Okay, I need a bathroom break, and then we'll look at this because it's pretty silly. I'm crazy about the look of it's a little busy here in the middle. Maybe once we expand everything, it'll give it a little breathing room. Because we may expand it with like expand the radius without making the sizes bigger. I don't know. We've got this one's going to be a little bit of a hassle, I think. Excuse me. Target fill. So I think we had to have that to hide the this size doesn't seem right. Maybe it is. Yeah. Is the target fill just bigger than I think it is? That's funny. Okay, so this one's going to be, this will be the most tedious one we've done so far in terms of dealing with the graphics, I think. That's what I think. We just do gate? Okay, wait. Gate. We don't need to. Right. Okay, and I should just turn that off, but I plan to move away from Dropbox soon. So ring, the ring assets up here, they kind of suck. That's my professional opinion as a person. So that's funny. I already did split artboards on this one. I also did split artboards on this one. I did not do. Why did I don't know, what am I doing? Why did I do this way? Okay, let's just think through this for a minute. That's the ring background, which is not even in here. So really, we should have icons and then all of these pieces of the ring. And then the satellites, for some reason, are crammed into the icons file. And so is the projectile. Okay. Well, let's just get started, I guess. This is going to take a minute. So ring background seems to be an irrelevant file because it seems like these orbits are actually what matters to me. I don't know why these are so big. I mean, this certainly looks like it could be half the size. So one thing we could do is just start with this and swap out the SVGs, and then we would know that we could change them. But just looking at this, like, to me, this looks like it could be, the artboard could be half the size. This one clearly goes past the 50% mark. Now maybe I did that, you know, maybe initially it did fit, and then yeah, that clearly fits though. Also, my artboard numbering is horrible. And I don't think you can change an artboard's number. Oops. $576, yeah, so it's just, this one's just too big. But we want to make them all bigger anyway by a factor of 1.5, so maybe it's fine. And I guess we'll keep this goofball split thing. So were I to do that, were I to just say this times 1.5, did it scale the stroke as well? Yes, it did. Okay, so that's, maybe we do that. Maybe we just do that. Okay, undo everything for a second. Let's just think about what we've done here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why are the artboard numbers wrong? Can you change that? It's not a big deal, but it's gonna bother me. I see, drag it in the artboards panel. Okay, that's good to know. This panel, we want to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's our orbits. Okay, trying to think of how to do this. Let's do it a step at a time. It's not like, let's get it working with vector first, and then we can figure out how to redesign if we want to. It's funny how it handles these giant ones. Okay, so those would be our orbits. And then we have, what was it, 4 icons and then 3 other assets? 4 icons and 3 other assets. So I guess we do the 4 icons next, which would all be tiny little 64 babies, even though most of our icons are 128. Let's just do this for now. You can always go back and fix it. Okay, so this is going to be weird. So if you rearrange these like this, how cute. Okay, and then we have the three of them that are, which is absurd because this is just silly, but whatever. So those look to be 128. So we need 3 that are 128. Oh, these, I messed up. I meant to make those 64 by 64, right? Tiny little babies, rearrange all. Okay, this file is pretty silly, but let's just go with it for now. So first thing, let's get the big boys. Actually, so we have more because we have 2 more because we need these targets to go in. So these pieces are just for the relief. So these pieces are just for the satellites. And then these are for the target. Which needing the fill is a bit annoying, but this is like, I guess, kind of where we are if we want the outlines. So now we want 2 that are 256. Can I not do this in such a way? Illustrator's so bad at aligning and snapping things the way you would want. Like, I want you to have to be consistently spaced. Oh, do I just have to like plus 20 up here? Actually snapping. Oops. Doing that. What is the shortcut for the artboard tool? Shift O. You know, oh, her artboard. Okay. Let's do our icons next. I don't know what these mean, but just figure that out later. No? So that's our icons. Now we need these 3 friends. I didn't mean to do that in this file. You? Fills are kind of annoying. Don't love that. It's not like... I mean, they were annoying with the PNGs anyway. It's not like it's necessarily worse, but still not great. Okay. Yes, probably pretty silly to have all these circles just be circles that we could reuse, but you know, we got stuff that's different border sizes and things like that, so like duplicating the fills doesn't bother me that much. Even if just like it helps me conceptually understand the asset differences. So for example, we will have a ring target border and a ring target fill. Okay. We will have orbit 1, 2, 3, 4, which we already have those, I think. And orbit 1, 2, 3, 4. We will have toggle state. Which I do think we want to conform all of these to be more like a play posy kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know, that's going to be tricky. Sync velocity. You're really bad at... Does that actually apply? Why don't you show it? Is it too long? Guess so. Okay, ring toggle state, ring sync velocity, ring satellite fill. Can I spell satellite correctly? Who can say? Presumably you have a ring satellite border. We have the projectile. Okay, what is that button? Random velocity? Oh, that randomizes the state. Huh. Ring random. Does that toggle them on and off? Who knows? Ring random state. Ring random velocity. I just realized something. Maybe. These all have button borders. Where did those button borders come from? This one's a little annoying. And we use the satellite border. And a fill behind it. I don't like that. I think I'm okay using the projectile everywhere because those kind of like mirror what the projectile is doing. So what is that inner target thing? Considering satellite border again. Like that alignment's not quite right. There's just stuff here that's not great. Like we'd probably just want that to be part of the part of the target border. What did I do? Target inner border. How did I break it? What? Well, let's fix that again, I guess. So, we should probably add those, right? Add the target. Add a button border. I'm not gonna do it right now because we're just doing a straight swap at the moment, right? Just swap them. Don't get too annoyed. Okay, this file is a bit silly. It's a bit silly, but let's just roll with it for a second. Because I kind of think I want everything to be 150% of what it is. Because that would be effectively the same as this, but we don't want to do this. 1536. 1536, I think is better. Better sizing for some things, at least. But let's not do that at the moment. Let's just stay. $2048, and let's actually apply. Do you have any evidence? No. Okay. Oh yeah. Disable lighting everywhere. Okay, let's swap these out and then we'll try to make it a little less terrible. So let's export for screens, SVG, where? Sometimes I get so lost. New, folder, SVG, Journal Explorer, give me the folder. And these are certainly very silly indeed, but we're going to ignore the silliness. I did not put those inside the thing I meant to. Shucks. There's a lot of assets for this one. That's even with improperly reusing some. Okay, where do we start? Let's start with the buttons, I guess. So these are ring target fill. So let's remove this and add an SVG image and make it that thing. Okay, went away. You. And then we'll make them all ring target fill, which is silly. That's not the fill. Is that the border? I named this backwards? Did. We didn't make these all 128 also. And make them, yeah, all the stuff. We didn't do all the stuff. We did very little of this stuff, in fact. Okay, yeah, we gotta do the thing. We gotta take all these and make them UI. And we do want to preserve viewport. We do want that to be 2K. And we do want to be 128. Okay. I would have thought that that would have fixed that, but didn't. Oh. Wait. Where did we just export those? To the wrong place? Why? Do those just all go to the design folder and not where we want them? Probably. Sure did. Okay, you are supposed to go into this place. That rhythmic snapping sound is giving me Ring Fit Adventures flashbacks. Get into there. Sprites, SVG. Replace them all. Okay, so let's get dim again. Okay. better? Not really. Maybe those were all set to 128? That wouldn't make any sense. Why would those be smaller? Why would my ring... That's not how you spell border. What am I doing? I mean, it's how you spell border, but not this kind of border. That's funny. Did I do that in 2 different places? Where the ring target border and the satellite border. I did it twice. So we're worried about spelling satellite, that I can't spell easy words. Ridiculous. Okay, that didn't actually apply, which is annoying. Okay. Anyway, so why is this ring target border 256, 256? Is that not what we previously had as the... So the button is using something called border. It's using ring satellite border. Oh, so we should actually be like ring... Well, there wasn't a ring satellite fill. Okay, so maybe it's supposed to be too big. Now I don't even know what color those were supposed to be. I think they were just the color of the background. But this is feeling like a slight mess. You know? Okay, so these are borders. The borders are this color, remove, and I should have just written something that converted these, but now that I've done it, I've almost done all of them. So these are ring satellite border sprite. Yeah, I certainly could have written something that just swapped out the color and the material and the SVG source, but too bad. Okay, that's those, and then the individual icons have to swap. And we will just figure out how to do that. Okay, so random velocity button presumably wants ring random velocity sprite. And sync button probably wants sync velocity. Random angle button. Random angle button. We did random velocity, so maybe that was what was previously random state. That doesn't make much sense. Yeah, some of these are just bad. Maybe all of them are just bad. So, and then finally, toggle state button. Okay. Maybe that takes care of those. Okay, now on to the target. So these segments are all just using ring projectile. And there's a fill, that's just the fill. There's the border. And then the inner border is actually the satellite border, which is silly. Hey, I should have written a little tool, huh? Should I write a little tool? Now that I've already done it, it'll take longer to write the tool than to just do it. So I should just do it. If I did the tool at the very beginning of this whole thing, it might have made sense. But at this point, it does not make sense. Do I want to try to like actually remember what these things are? No. Let's just do it. Okay, so these are all ring projectiles. and they're all this color. We could do this at the end, but whatever. Okay, that's you, and then Phil. That's funny. Oh, but it's a rectangle. Oh. So target fill sprite is what we want with this. And so one of these is target border and one is satellite border. And that's why the sizes don't really match up. But let's just go with it for now. Target border, satellite border. Target border sprite, border sprite, satellite border sprite. Okay, so that is all of those. I don't really know. So we gotta do the satellites, we gotta do the orbits. Let's do the satellites quickly. Satellites have a fill, a border, and a center. The fill is the background color. The border and the center. So we're going to have to do, yeah. We'll have a slight problem here with this, yeah, these images. The fill image. Why do I need to know the fill image? What do I do with that? Why would I care? Do I change the fill color when it's toggled? I don't. The fill does not change. Only the... Oh, the fill is the center. So that's misleading. It's not really the fill image, it's the center. I see. Okay, let's leave it for the moment. Should call it like inner and outer or something like that. That's what one of the main reasons this one's so different so far is we have like the color separation of different pieces of an asset, and so that's why it's taking all these sub pieces, which is a little bit annoying. Okay, so we have a fair number of things to change. Let's do the code change first, real quick. That's interesting. What else is in volume 1? What are we using from volume 1? Did we steal something from another sketch? That would be kind of bad. Oh, it's just the metronome. Okay. These will all want SVG images instead. The initial state of these is this color. Yeah, can't really do it with alpha because it sits on top of something. Could do it without, well, it is on top of the fill. There's also one where we have like stuff moving behind stuff, so we have to have these fills, which is a little bit annoying. But whatever. It's not horrible. Wait, get out of here. So that's wrong. Because fills actually should be the background color. And then fills, who knows what we used? Because we didn't make a fill for the satellite, did we? We did, okay. So we have satellite fill, satellite border. Satellite fill, satellite border, and then just projectile. Okay, and then the thing that's going to be broken now is these all need to know about the border and the center. Border, center, border, center, border, center. Okay. Feels like I probably messed something up there. Let's see how we're doing. How broken are we? The individual projectiles are not lighting up, which makes sense because somebody needs to know you. Oops. Is that better? Okay. So that just leaves the orbits, which are very silly, but not that hard. Yeah, I don't know why one of them, it is this biggest one, it would appear. Yeah, they're all separate. They all manage their colors separately. This is silly. Oh boy, who does that? But it probably just pulses based on the metronome, so it's probably not actually that big of a deal. Right? Like, yeah, this is... Whatever. Whatever. So if we look at this, it's just going to be an SVG image, probably, kind of thing. Yeah. All this stuff to just see these little colored pulses. But whatever. So they all need to be this color, which is really just this color at 50%. So that's fine. So let's remove this. Let's do image, an SVG image, all of whom want to be you, and then you, and then you, and then orbit 1 sprite, orbit 2 sprite, orbit 3 sprite. It's a good song. Not the song that's playing, not my song. The song I was singing is also good. Orbit 4 sprite. Okay. Hopefully we are functional. Those don't look very good for some reason. I wonder why that is. I lose my anti-aliasing? Wait, come back. Oh, I switched to Android, so I'm on medium. Huh. So let's just... We really only need one graphic setting. And we'll call it Ultra. We don't care about soft particles. Let's do 8x. I feel like that didn't actually help. Also, something's still a PNG. It's like our satellite borders. Did I do that wrong? Ring satellite border. Oh, it was already called. That was not from the SVG. Ring satellite border sprite. It's funny that that would even work. Okay, so we should be able to delete all the images now. I still don't understand our anti-aliasing issue. Okay, so all of you can go away, perhaps. The fill. You messed up our... Not the... Yeah, the fill. There we go, fill sprite. I'll just use it for now. It puts a little space around. I think I might actually like that anyway. So we appear to be having bad anti-aliasing issues, but does it work? I forgot to fix the projectiles. Common mistake. Okay, projectiles. Satellite is not a projectile anymore, right? Segment is also not. So these are both lies, I think. Okay. So projectiles are not instantiated? Nope, we always have the same number. Okay. Move you. SVG image projectile. What is up with our AA? Why does that outside ring? Funny, it's only that one. And it appears to have the exact same code as the others. I don't think the middle of those should turn red when they pulse. Okay, so why is that? Why would that one... That's number one, right? It's the big boy. What is the difference between that? The ring index. What's your problem, buddy? Color updated, image color equals color. So it kind of seems like the problem could be that trigger gets called one time before start. which not cool. Well, let's just try this. This is not probably really the way to fix it, but that's my guess. Yes. Okay. So are we functional-ish? There's some goofy things. You can see some borders a little, I think. But it's not too bad. So I kind of want to keep this exact same layout and just expand the orbit radii. To be 150% of what they are. Okay. So to do that, I would just click you, make sure you're in the bottom corner, and then do times 1.5. And it's going to make the border thicker, which we'll just go with that for now. You don't have to, but 1.5. This one might not fit anymore. Just a fit. Okay. And 1.5. So those are all going to be, well, substantially bigger orbit radii. Why did you decide to put them in a different place than the place we already exported them? I didn't close and open the file. You just decided, Illustrator, to be a jerk. Why did you decide to be a jerk? It's just what you do. Drone Explorer. Okay, I'm breaking the rules a little bit because we are changing some styling here, but I'm gonna allow it. Because we kind of broke it by doing the scaling, because this was not the scale as designed, you know. Okay. Did you go in the wrong place again? Sprites, SVG. Replace all these babies. I don't know where they went last time. I clicked on a button. Okay, bigger radii. That seems better to me in every way. So we then have to adjust. The orbit should just work. It should just be adjusting the satellite arm sizes to be 150%. No, wrong. Of the satellite inside the arm should be 150%. Nope. We may want to scale some stuff up now. Maybe that was too big. Maybe 150 was too much, but I think as far as like filling the screen, 150 is right. Just maybe now we want to say, like, maybe our satellites should be 150. The target in the middle, I kind of want the target, like this spacing bothers me. Did we have room to make the target bigger? We didn't. So we would, but we don't really want to make the these little segments closer together, so we don't want to shrink them in. So I think we do just want to make the target bigger, even if it means vastly scaling up the size of the container to double the size, really 4 times the size. Okay. So I of the scaling is not accurate to the original, but I think having a little room in here is good. Maybe we'll go bigger on these guys, but I'm gonna let it. I think I'm gonna let it stand because we'll probably want to change lots of scaling and stuff like that when we get to. Testing all this on mobile. Okay, so what did we decide about anti-aliasing just doesn't exist? I mean, you know, if you look here, we got a lot of anti-aliasing. We're scaled at 1x. There's something goofy on our canvas settings. That's what we've been doing everywhere. Pretty sure. We've not. I don't understand. That's an idea. We don't want to do that. Never mind. It's a bad idea. I just had a bad idea. So, what's up? What's up? Why? Soldiers are getting HoloLenses? Is that what's happening? Okay, getting distracted. I'm distracted. Oh, no, 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 no. I don't, I'm confused. Let's go look at somebody else. This all applied. Now it is. Wait, Kate, are you bad now? Well, no. But you're not very round, so drop. No, look how round that is. Round as heck. Project settings. Toggle. Anti-aliasing. Yeah, dramatic change. So why in one scene in Ring, not related to lighting, Is it the assets? Did I do something wrong with the SVGs? Oh, that's not the right thing. Okay. That must have been that one export that I didn't know what happened. We said preserve viewport. We said 128. We said 2160. We said your UI SVG image. So what's up? Even like it's the same scale screen with size. I don't know about the scaling. It's just it feels like AA is off. And toggling it does nothing. What? That's weird. Why, you see gizmos in the game view? Why is there a gizmos button in the game view? Why? Why would once... That would make a lot of sense. Wait, are we always doing screen space overlay? Or are we doing camera overlay? No, I can't. I don't remember. You think we should be using MSAA. I agree with you, camera. What is different about this canvas? Scale with screen size on a screen space overlay. Is that not what we're doing elsewhere? Screen space camera. It's still pretty weird if that makes you lose MSAA by doing an overlay instead of a camera. Is that right? Is that what we've done on everybody? You're an overlay, but I can't actually tell if you're not anti-aliased. Screen space camera. Give you a camera. Now you get anti-aliasing. Interesting. And gizmos do show up over there. Well, how about that? Fall we haven't done yet. Gate we did. Gate. Okay. Line. I mean, those at a glance look anti-alias, but I guess when you're diagonal, it's hard to tell unless you have actually something round. No, you already were screen space camera, so who knows? Yeah, having a consistency with those, I don't know. I don't know exactly what to do yet about how to embed all these in one happy place. So now we have ring, camera, screen space camera, give you a camera. Now we have beautiful anti-aliasing. That's interesting. Like, what if you want to do screen space overlay? Do you not get anti-aliasing, or do you have to do what? I don't know. Torn on how complex or not complex to make these. Like, you could imagine each of these having a different sound, but then you kind of want them to have a different tempo. And right now the tempo is the same. It's always just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I know, man. Okay. Well, we figured something out, I guess. This one I think it's certainly still needs tuning. That'll do. Okay, so we got one more to do, but I'm kind of over it for the time being. I've only been going 2.5 hours. Let's just look at it. Okay, no. First, let's commit. And then we'll look at it. Can we not commit after doing gate? Okay, let's look at this step at a time. All of these sprites, all the ring sprites, ring sprites, ring sprites, ring sprites, ring sprites. That was just a bad prefab. Get out of here. So fade and gate. What are we changing on that prefab? Oh. Didn't push all this stuff. Okay, we didn't actually review this code yet, right? Not closely. We changed some things to point to SVGs, but we didn't actually look at what's going on. Okay, so like, what's a segment? That's that little segment, little blob in the middle. So this is just a light up. We have so many of these scripts that do the exact same thing, that just highlight a thing. This is the target, which I guess is where the actual audio sources are for some reason. And it's a singleton so that people can play it. A little bit silly, but okay. Satellites are the individual satellites. I feel like their drag is not very good. I remember that being a problem. I remember struggling with that, like a radial drag and release was not the best. Yeah, like I feel like my velocity calculation for that was not. I mean, that kind of makes sense, I guess. But it really would be, no, here's where we do it. I mean, even the radial drag, okay, I'm sorry, the radial drag does work. I think the radial drag is fine and actually works reasonably well. So that's this guy. The velocity, yeah, the last rotation just doesn't, maybe we need like a moving average or something, I don't know. It's just not, it's not very good. And I seem to scale it down for some reason. Who knows? Okay. And then there's all the random things. And then orbits really don't do anything but pulse when a beat happens. So yet more of the almost identical highlight code. So okay. And let's just take a gander at fall, which I think is kind of a cool one. I don't know that it's very good to use, but I think it's kind of a neat one. Does it work? So you do want to be camera, and you do want to be scale the screen size at 2048. So it actually looks not too bad, except the distribution of these little guitar string lines is wrong. So the way this one works is you turn on gravity. Like when they're just circles like this, they have no weight to them, basically. But if you click this thing, you'll see it get heavier. And so they fall down and then come back up, and they kind of pluck as they go along. And I can't remember exactly how I decided to do the sounds. So one of these, I think, randomizes this, reverses the direction I think that they're going, which like the range calculation is wrong. I think it's because of that thing where we changed the orthographic size, but we know how to fix that. And then this, I would guess, randomizes weight. Four notes of a bass instrument. Who knows? Changing the weight here should probably be reflected there. The highlighting is right, just the positioning is wrong. So we for sure have work to do on it, but seems like solve a problem and we'll swap with the images. Let's just do all that tomorrow, I think. Right? Right, everybody? Okay, so we did it. We got through 2 more today, 1 more today. Ring took a long time just because its assets are annoying. But yeah, we did. Did we do 2 today or 3 today? I don't know. I kind of think we did 3. Okay, we'll do. So we only have 1 more to do to get like up to snuff, and then we just need to start thinking about like what next steps are. I think I'm leaning towards this idea of. I think I'm leaning towards the idea of the buttons coming out of the trap, but I don't know yet. I don't know. I don't know yet. I don't know the answer. But anyway, that's all for today. Have a lovely afternoon or evening or morning or night, wherever you are in the world. And we'll talk tomorrow. Goodbye.